Welcome to Hope Zoo. My name is Joey Brown. I'm the curator here at the zoo, and today I have a little assistant.
Hi guys, I'm Auntie Vanny from Reach Academy, a prep school in Kingston, and I'm super excited to be here today. So Joey, tell us, what are we doing today?
So today we're going to check out a few of our ambassador animals and then talk about our various other conservation projects we have going on. So besides just the animals we exhibit here at the zoo, as a nonprofit, all that money that comes in from guest attendance goes right back into our conservation projects. So one, we act as a wildlife sanctuary for our government colleagues at NEPA. So we kind of rescue and rehabilitate native wildlife, barn owls, Jamaican owls, crocodiles. They receive intensive vet care here at the zoo, and then once they're kind of rehabilitated and ready to go back into the wild, we release them.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and so that's just one little thing we do. And then we also are the home to the Head Start program for the critically endangered Jamaican iguana.
Okay, yeah.
So it's a native Jamaican iguana species only found right here in Jamaica, and is actually thought to be extinct till 1990.
Oh.
And so we've been working with our colleagues at UE and NEPA to kind of bring iguanas in here, and we house them here at the zoo for their first 5-6 years of their life, and then we reintroduce them back into the wild.
Sounds exciting. Come on guys, let's go check out the ambassador animals. Come on.
Let's go.
Hey Joey, who is this?
This is Patches. He's our 6-month-old cat. He was rescued as a newborn, really bad pneumonia, fungal infection. So we brought him here to the zoo to help kind of get him better. And now he's like the all-star of our petting zoo.
So you want to tell our friends what is one of the main goals of the zoo?
So at the zoo, one of our main goals is to educate and kind of connect people with wildlife, especially kids, get them to care more about the environment. But we also work with our government colleagues at NEPA to rescue native wildlife, rehabilitate injured orphan species, and then introduce them back into the wild. And every once in a while we get some or some farm animals as well. Right, buddy? Yes.
You are the cutest.
He's a good boy.
So what does he eat? The same thing like
grass.
grass?
Loves some fresh grass. Right? Did he eat for the camera?
Aww.
He's starting to have a bit. Loves grass. Then we'll give him treats every once in a while, some fruit and stuff. But he really grass is his main thing.
So they eat fruit?
Just as like a special treat here and there. But they're grazers, they're out in the pastures grazing on grass all day. With the dry season right now, we're a little bit short on grass around, so we cut it for them and give them a big pile of grass every morning and afternoon.
Aww, you are so cute.
He's a sweetheart. So yeah, we raised him, bottle fed him. I used to spend overnight with him, kind of giving him a bottle every few hours or stuff. So he's gotten very attached to people.
So the zoo, you are more than just having people come and watch.
Yeah,
we're more work.
Yeah, we're more than just exhibiting animals. We have a whole back part of our zoo that's close to the public. That's all rescued barn owls, crocodiles that have been rescued from the wild, whether injured or kind of brought to us by NEPA, and then we use our vet to get them rehabilitated, fully healthy again, and then reintroduce them back to the wild.
Fabulous.
Right.
Nice to meet you. You're so cute.
So now we're here with Jojo, our baby Jamaican iguana, and then Jody, our senior reptile keeper here at the zoo. So Jody takes care of all our reptiles, our crocs, snakes, and then over 300 Jamaican iguanas, a part of our Head Start program.
Oh yeah, you told me about that Head Start program. The iguana Head Start, right?
Yeah, so the long story short, the Jamaican iguana is thought to be extinct until 1990, and then they rediscovered the small population in the Hellshire Hills. But the main threat were these mongoose and introduced feral cats that were killing all the baby young iguanas. So in the early 90s, UE, UDC, NEPA, all started bringing iguanas back to Hope Zoo to start this Head Start program. So what they do is the iguanas hatch out every kind of July, August, and then they collect the babies right away. We bring them here to the zoo and then raise them up for 5 or 6 years. So once they're big enough to kind of survive from the mongoose cats, and then we reintroduce them back into the wild.
Oh.
And so that has pretty much helped save the Jamaican iguana population.
Okay, cool.
And so Jody is now kind of like our senior keeper, the iguana mama, and she literally on a daily basis takes care of over 300 iguanas.
So Jody, you were telling me before that it can take up to 2 to 3 hours to feed these babies.
Yes.
Can you tell our little kitties a little bit more about why it takes so long for you to feed? It takes so many hours to feed these little cute guys.
So feeding these iguanas, it's not just about going in to put food down, but it's about sanitizing the dishes, like washing the dishes, making sure that the dishes are clean, breaking the enclosures. It's about counting these iguanas, making sure that
Counting each one.
counting
Over
each
300.
one,
Oh my gosh.
making sure that everyone is alive, everyone is well, observing them, giving, taking maybe like 2 minutes or let's say 30 seconds, look at each one to make sure that they're not limping, they're not injured overnight,
Oh my goodness.
and everyone is alive and well.
So you really are the iguana mama.
I really am the iguana mama.
Yeah. That's a lot. And so you have to check on each one of these iguanas.
Every single one.
And how big are these enclosures? Are they quite large or they are small? How do you
They're
in there?
quite large. I mean, it can hold, like, let's say, it can hold quite a few, but at the same time, we don't want too much iguana in one. Whenever we have like a small amount, it gives them a better chance of growing faster too.
Oh.
They're about like 10 feet tall, right? Think they're like 10, 12?
Yeah,
Enclosure like 10.
10 by 20
yeah.
or something.
Oh,
Because they
10
found
by
out
20.
in the wild, actually, they found a lot of the younger iguanas are actually somewhat arboreal, so they live in the trees for a while.
Oh.
And so we have these tall enclosures in our facility, so they can climb up these branches and hang out on these tall branches and stuff.
Oh, that's pretty cool. So you really try to replicate what they're going to be going back into.
Exactly.
Yes.
Oh, that's pretty amazing. So you have to feed all of these animals. What do they eat?
They eat vegetables. They'll
Oh.
eat, the diet at the zoo here is kale, mustard greens, collard greens, a bit of callaloo, pak choy, papaya,
Oh, wow.
sweet potatoes, pumpkin, bananas,
Where's a lot of
sometimes
vegetables come from?
mangoes.
Where,
And
where do these veggies come from?
most of these vegetables, not most, but all of these vegetables, they are grown at the zoo. Yeah, so we have our own farm.
Yeah.
So we grow these vegetables here at the zoo
So all of these vegetables are grown right here on property.
on property.
That's amazing.
That's pretty neat.
So if you have to give them all of a mixture of all of these things, how long does it take to prepare a meal like that? Because I mean, I don't even want to make a salad for myself, much
Yeah.
less a salad
300
or
for 300 iguanas?
No
Yeah.
joke.
For starters, like let's say you choose to volunteer to prep the food.
Right.
I can tell you it will take you up to like 2.5 hours to do
Prep.
all of that.
So
yeah.
feeding,
Cutting.
oh my god, so feeding is around 2.5 hours.
Mhm.
Preparing is around 2.5 hours. That's a long time with just food alone.
Yep.
Wow, that's a lot of time for that. But at least they're taken care of by amazing people like you guys. And then after that, after all of this, and then they're, grown up to what size you said?
I mean, easily 5-6 feet, the adults.
Oh, 5, 6
The big,
feet.
yeah, well, sorry, that's how big they can get.
Okay.
But when we release them, it's usually about 1,000 grams, or probably about this long or so. So they come in as hatchlings about this big, and then we grow them up to about this long.
Wow.
And so, like she was saying, the diet is a critical kind of a component to their health. Because one, we want them growing healthy, and then we want them growing as fast as possible as well, because we want them to be in captivity for as little time as possible, so we can get them back into the wild. So having these like mixed greens, these kale, spinach, bok choy, is very important, so they're getting the proper nutrition.
That's pretty cool. So then when you finish at a certain length that you want them to be at, right?
We go for about 1,000 grams.
1,000 grams in weight and like what? About 2 feet.
Yeah, it's about 2 feet.
2 feet.
2 feet in length.
And then, yeah,
And
and
then
that
they
usually
grow
takes
up-
them about 5, 6, 7 years. And then we do, so they hatch out.
5, 6, 7 years to
Well,
get
so
2
it used to
feet?
be 7, 8 years, but as Jody and them have really improved the diet here, the iguanas are growing faster and healthier, and we're able to release them quicker. So we've had some that are like, what's the shortest, like 4 or 5 years?
4 or 5 years. So we went from having to wait 8 or 7 years to release an animal to way down to like 4 to 5 years.
Oh, that's
Awesome.
awesome. That's a big, significant difference. Wow, that's a good job. You guys are really doing an amazing thing for our Habitat for Jamaica, for making sure that these animals are alive and well.
Yeah, so we have a big release coming out this July. So the babies, like I said, eggs are laid around May. They incubate underground for a few months, and then the babies hatch out in July, August. So this July, August, you know, we're going out with our NEPA and kind of UDC collaborators to collect those babies. And at the same time, we do a big release. So we'll take probably 40, 50 iguanas that Jody's been taking care of for the last 6 years, and then she finally gets to let them go back into the wild.
How do you manage that? Letting go of your own babies?
It's hard, but at the same time, it's fun, and it's overwhelming because I'm really giving them a chance to like out in the
A whole
wild.
species. I mean, literally a whole species. This is the whole species is based on this one spot population. Or else if it wasn't for her, like this work that's going on, it'd be extinct totally. They're found nowhere else.
So how much do you think are actually out in the wild now? How many iguanas?
Maybe like what, over 2?
I mean, at least over a couple hundred. I mean, the best possible scenario, because this July we'll be releasing our 500 iguanas. So right now we're at we've released over 460.
We're at 468 that we have released in the wild
Since the 90s, and so
So
the population's probably around 300-500 right now, possibly.
wow. And how old do they tend to, what's their lifespan?
We're not really sure as yet. However, Big Mama, she's really the iguana mama.
She is the iguana.
She has been here since 1991.
So
She
30 years.
is
Oh, wow.
29 years old now,
Yeah.
and we're using her to see how long they can live for.
Oh,
We're
fabulous.
still learning a lot about the Jamaican iguana, but Jamaican iguanas closely related kind of like species from like the Cayman Islands and other Caribbean. There's iguana species there that have been known to live 60, 70 years. So since these guys are very similar, we're assuming they could probably live 60, 70 years if they're healthy and doing well.
Oh, that'd be fabulous.
Yeah.
And so we're checking on the Big Mama after this to see how she's doing.
We're gonna check on
She's
Big.
our so she's a big ambassador mama, and this is a little ambassador.
The future, yeah. So yeah, because like,
You're gonna be there. So you're gonna be a little old Big Mama coming here feeding your little babies at that time. Oh my goodness. You're doing a great job.
he's gonna grow up. He's gonna be our stud.
You are a cutie.
Because we try with the Head Start iguanas, you know, we want to keep them as wild as can be. So although she's feeding them, they're totally hands off. We don't want them getting used to people, habituated to people. But we wanted to have an iguana that we can use to do school talks, you know, go on TV shows and stuff that's like, kind of educate people about this like Jamaican national icon. And that's gonna be this guy.
You're gonna be a superstar. All right. Thanks, Jody. You're amazing. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Let's go check out the Big Mama. Oh, so look at this little mama. Look how long her tail is. This is a full grown. This is what we call Big Mama, right?
Big Mama.
She is beautiful. Joy was telling us before that she'll be covered in like sand or dirt or.
And dirt because they love to burrow a lot. They love to dig underground a lot.
And this is her. Look at the blue on her.
It's gorgeous.
It's gorgeous. She is a beauty.
So she's extra bright right now because they do shed, like, you know, like snakes shed, but instead of shedding in like one full piece like snakes do, these iguanas and lizards, they typically shed like in pieces of their body.
Oh.
But she's extra bright right now because she just shed all her old skin, and so you can kind of see this bright blue scales, the banding, and then she's just brown from digging in her dirt. She has a little burrow. The adults tend to spend and sleep in these burrows, underground burrows, and then during the daytime they come out. You know, they forage for different plants and fruits, and so that's why they're typically kind of covered in this brown color.
Oh, so really and truly, if she was all clean, she would be a different color.
Yeah, it would just highlight a lot of their patterns a lot more.
Oh,
You also see some greens too.
The greens,
Like,
yeah.
barely can hear it. But
Oh yeah, look at her foot though. 'Cause look at the front, her front. What do you call them?
You gotta
Her
hold her head.
feet? What do you call them?
Okay. Her
Oh,
feet.
look at
Right.
that.
So they're really good climbers. They're really good. You know, it's a very rocky area as well, so they're really quick on the rocks, and they're really good diggers. So they use these hands, you know, to dig these extensive burrows that go back, you know, probably 5, 6, 7 feet, and that's like kind of like a safe area. And then the females, you know, they lay eggs, and like usually around 10, 20 eggs, Jody.
about 10 to 15.
10 to 15 eggs.
15 eggs.
And so yeah, the females, the mamas, will dig these nests. They'll bury their eggs underground, and then the eggs stay underground and incubating on their own for about 3 months. And then usually around August or so, those babies start hatching out.
Has Big Mama ever laid any eggs?
Don't tell me. So she hasn't been with a male before, but then still a lot of animals will still lay unfertile eggs.
Okay.
But I don't think we've ever even got some from her.
And look at her tummy. She's well fed.
Yeah, we're working on kind of. She's got a good diet and everything right now, but we're working on kind of getting her more exercise and kind of climbing a lot more in her exhibit.
But she has a beautiful exhibit.
Yeah.
That place is amazing. It's big.
Keep it natural.
Yeah, she's very lucky. You're a very lucky little Big Mama. Oh,
Little Big Mama.
Little big mama.
Big Mama. She is so
Gorgeous.
cute.
Hi.
Thank you, Big Mama, for sharing all your glory with us today. All right, kids, I want to know what the surprise is. What's next, Joey?
All right, so I know we talked about how we're actually a wildlife sanctuary here,
Right.
besides just a zoo, and so we rescue lots of native wildlife. Usually this is barn owls, yellow-billed parrots. Occasionally we get some other good kind of special animals. Today,
Ooh.
we have a baby American crocodile, which is the only crocodile species found right here in Jamaica.
Oh, pretty
So this good little guy was
cool.
actually born in the wild, and he was actually confiscated as an illegal pet someone had. So they're protected endangered species here in Jamaica. And so fortunately someone who had him had turned him into authorities, and he couldn't be reintroduced back into the wild right away, so we brought him here to the zoo where we're raising him up. His name is Sparkles.
Hi, Sparkles.
And he's just about 8 months old.
Just like the iguana.
Similar to the iguana, just the same
Yeah.
age. So, you know, crocodiles, they lay eggs. The mom will lay a kind of clutch of eggs underground. She'll actually protect that nest, you know, for about 80 to 100 days.
Okay.
And then when the babies are hatching out, they actually can call from inside the egg to let the mom know they're ready to hatch.
Oh,
And
pretty
sometimes,
wild.
yeah, it's really cool. And sometimes she'll come and help dig up the nest. And when they're very young, they have a little tiny, it's called an egg tooth on the end of their snout.
Oh,
that's
to help break through.
to help break through the egg. And then it dissolves away after a couple weeks. So it's just there to help them get out of the egg.
Oh, that's
But then-
so cool.
Yeah, but the coolest thing is crocodiles actually make very good parents, like moms and dads. So
Okay.
typically the mom and dad will take care of the young crocodiles maybe for the first year of their life, you know. Because when they're small, they're very vulnerable to natural
Yeah.
predators, you know, even big fish, birds and stuff. And so the mom and dad croc help take care of them.
So they make good parents, not good pets.
Right, yeah, not good pets, because he will grow to be about 15 feet and, you know, 800-900 pounds someday. Big animal. So they're slow growers. They don't even start breeding, like become kind of adults, till they're about 10-15 years old.
Okay.
So this guy, he's kind of off exhibit right now, but soon we'll have him in one of our big pools before he can be released back into the wild.
Oh, Sparkles, you are so cute.
Yeah, and so Jody, being our senior reptile keeper, she helps take care of, on top of all the iguanas, we also have about 8 or 9 different crocs, right?
Yeah.
Ranging from little Sparkles to a big 12-foot adult male crocodile.
And they're all American.
American crocodiles, but it's kind of like the Jamaican crocodile species, but they're called American crocodiles because they're found throughout the Americas, you know, the southern tip of Florida, the Caribbean, Central America, and even northern parts of South America.
Okay.
But this is kind of, I mean, this is an iconic, it's the Jamaica's kind of largest vertebrate species here. They're on the Jamaican coat of arms. If you see the
Oh,
Jamaican
yeah,
coat of arms,
yeah,
they're on
it's
the
true.
back. So
That's right.
it's been a symbol of Jamaica since, you know, historically.
Right. So Jody, what is one fact, one misunderstood fact about these wonderful little creatures? Well, now little, not always so little.
I think you should ask that because people on the whole, they think that a croc will attack them, a croc will kill them, a croc will eat them. You know, they're just easily misunderstood. Crocodiles are really shy animals, and they love like being alone. You know, in addition to this, the babies, they will eat like small fishes, snails, insects, while the adults will prey on crabs or larger fish that is sick or dead. And in addition to this, they also help to clean up the sea.
Oh, fabulous.
Crocodiles will not like attack you unless you know you go in their space. They'll let you know that they feel threatened by making a noise, and however, if you still make an attempt to go for it, then they'll definitely try to defend themselves.
They want to get away. They're just as scared as people as we are. And most people are scared of them. So they want nothing to do with people. And then they are nocturnal too. So they usually sleep most of the day, and then they're active at night. And so that's why when you want to be careful, if you do live near kind of waterways, rivers, mangroves and stuff, the ocean where crocodiles do live, you probably don't want to go swimming at night, because crocodiles, when attacks have happened, it's usually been a mistake because people are splashing around in the water maybe, or they're cleaning fish on the shore of a river, and the croc is just going after what they think is a fish when it turns out to be a person maybe.
Right. So it's just doing what it's known to do.
Yeah, but they're not trying to eat people. They're way too big. They want to go after fish and birds and crabs and stuff. So that's why we kind of encourage, if people do come across crocodiles in the wild, whether it's on their farm or maybe if it gets stuck in their fishing net or something, they should call NEPA right away, because NEPA can respond there. We can at least rescue the crocodile, keep it alive, because they're important parts of our ecosystem. And so NEPA can come and kind of remove that crocodile and relocate it, instead of hopefully, someone maybe illegally killing it. Because they are protected, it's illegal to harass them, kill them, or do anything.
Right.
And so we want to protect them. It's, it's a Jamaican icon.
That's right. So kids, remember, we need to protect our wildlife. We need to make sure that we are doing our part. So remember, if you see one of these wonderful little creatures caught in a net or maybe on the banking somewhere that you may feel afraid or threatened, don't go after it. Call NEPA. All right.
Cool.
Cool.
All right.
Thanks, Jody.
No problem.
Thanks, Jody.
No problem.
All right, kiddies. Today was a lot of fun. But before we go, we have one last guest for you. We got the
Jamaican boa.
All right.
This is JB, our Jamaican boa, or also called the yellow snake here in Jamaica, or yellow belly snake. They are what we call an endemic snake species.
Ooh,
do you know what endemic?
Word.
Do you know what endemic means?
Yes, let's tell our audience.
Okay, so an endemic species, whether a bird or a snake, a mammal, is a snake species, whatever, only found right here in Jamaica. So this boa species is not found anywhere else in the world, so it's very unique. So it's kind of like a national icon for Jamaica as well.
Nice.
So we have about, how many do we have here at the zoo?
We have 15.
15.
We have about 15 Jamaican boas here. We have some that breed. So a cool thing with the boas actually is a lot of snakes actually lay eggs, and they're, they lay a clutch of eggs, they incubate. But boas and a few other species actually give live birth.
Oh.
And so that's
Pretty
a neat
cool.
thing. Where so like one day we had male and female together. And we thought she was pregnant. We came into work one day and we had like 10 new babies and on exhibit and stuff with the tiny little snake babies.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and so Jody is, she's our head reptile keeper, so she takes care of all these snakes as well.
So is this a snake mama or is this a snake baby?
It's a snake rescue.
Snake
It's a rescue snake.
So it's like we said, we do rescue a lot of native species. Some of them can be introduced back in the wild, some of them can't, and so we kind of made JB our kind of ambassador snake to kind of work with school groups and stuff, because a lot of people don't know they have this awesome snake species. It's only found right here in Jamaica,
Oh, cool.
So it's like a kind of a cool Jamaican symbol. And he's actually very tame, very sweet.
And he feels so nice.
Yeah, very smooth. That's another, kind of like the croc. The snakes are very misunderstood animals. Like, typically if you were to see one of these in the wild, they just want to get away,
Right.
They're actually very good for the ecosystem to have around your house or your farm. Because you know why?
Why?
Because they eat rodents, mice, rats, stuff that eats, whether it's your farm food or in your, eats holes in your house. These guys eat rodents, which is kind of very good for the environment in general.
But should any of our viewers be having one of these snakes as a pet?
Not Jamaican boas, actually. So they're actually protected because they are an endemic native species and they're protected by law. There are some snakes out there that people can have as pets, and if you do your research and have a proper enclosure at home, they can make good pets, but not Jamaican boas. So they're protected, actually.
Okay. And Jody, what do these wonderful snakes eat?
They eat rodents.
Live?
Well,
No.
if
In the
the
wild,
wild,
yes.
they'll catch them alive, but here at the zoo, they eat them dead.
Okay.
They kind of make really good ambush predators in the wild. So they can sit still for hours or a day, and they kind of can even sense where mice and rats use the same walking path, and so they'll sit there motionless and waiting patiently for that mouse or rat to become running on. Do you know why they flick their tongues?
No,
Do you see them
why?
flick their tongues?
Is it sensing something?
That's how they smell.
Oh.
So they have nostrils where they can smell kind of like, but their strongest sense is their sense of smell through their tongue. So they actually have a forked tongue that comes out, and they have a special organ kind of right on the top of their head. So the tongue goes out, it picks up those air particles, and it comes back in, and they can kind of tell what's around them and what direction it is. So that's kind of how they hunt for prey or just kind of feel what's going on.
All right, and how often do they feed? Every day? Once a week?
Once per week.
Once per week? Ah, I was right, once per week. Oh, cool.
And they can go weeks and months. You know, it's common for snakes. You know, they can, especially in like the colder periods, they may go a few months without eating. They are cold-blooded, you know, so they kind of need warm temperatures in the sun to kind of regulate their body temp. So if it's cold or a rainy kind of season, they may not eat for a while. So
Okay.
totally normal.
Well, this is cool. I love that he's so cute. He's yellow, eh?
Yeah, that's why they call them yellow bellies or yellow snakes, you know. And they will be found in the trees, you know, they can eat birds and stuff as well. But they're beautiful animals.
They are beautiful. And Jody, you're amazing. Thanks so much for being here with us today. You have really helped us learn so much about our wonderful reptiles that we are protecting, and the zoo is doing so much to help to protect our wildlife. So we really applaud all the work that you are doing as well. And can you let our children, our wonderful audience, know what it is that could they one day become a zookeeper like you? What would they need to do to become a zookeeper like you one day?
Alright, first thing, thanks for having me.
Yeah.
And for kids, first of all, they have to love animals. And then bookwork, education, that's another thing. And once you have those two, you could definitely come out, you could volunteer at the zoo, you could get experience with working with these animals, and then branch off into.
So wait, I never asked, did you like reptiles as you were a kid, or was it something you kind of grew into? And like,
I loved
yeah,
reptiles.
okay.
Always love that.
That's how I was
All right,
like,
guys.
cool.
if
Yeah,
you
That's how I
love
was too.
reptiles-
Since I was a kid, I loved
Yeah.
snakes were my thing as a kid. Yeah.
I remember going to birthday parties. Instead of going in a bounce house, I would normally go in the gardens and search for garden snakes.
Yeah.
So I'm at someone's house, they're having a party, and instead of having fun as a kid, I was
You were
hunting.
You were
having
having fun,
You were
yeah.
having your own fun. And
Yeah.
there are
I
a
was
lot of our
hunting snakes.
kids out there that are doing the same thing, that have the same imagination, have the same bravery. Remember, no matter how much you like or dislike anything, we care for everything, all right? And remember, you can also help out at the zoo. You can help out with their GoFundMe page, because right now, with this pandemic, it's very hard for our zoo to get revenue, because we're not
closed.
getting
We've
you
been closed
guys
for 2 months. Yeah.
closed for 2 months.
It's a,
So if you guys can help out, our viewers help out, look at the GoFundMe page that will be at the bottom. The link will be there. So please, if you can, help us out. And from Reach Academy, we want to thank you guys for our first episode.
it's awesome. We've had a blast.
I had a
Seriously.
blast.
We had a blast.
It was
fun.
really cool.
Yeah.
All right, guys. See you later.